You did everything right. You bought the premium rose food, you watered them faithfully, you made sure they were planted right in the full sun, and still, your roses are just struggling, dropping yellow leaves, barely pushing out new canes, definitely not giving you those vibrant, healthy blooms you were promised. Here's the truth nobody tells you: growing stunning roses isn't hard, but it is specific. And most people are unknowingly making one, or several, underground soil mistakes that quietly sabotage their results from day one. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 of the most costly soil mistakes killing your roses this summer, including a few that even experienced gardeners keep making, and you'll want to pay close attention to number 3 because it is flat out fatal to your roses. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what is suffocating your blooms before the damage spreads and exactly what to do differently starting today. Let's get into it. Number 1, adding fresh manure to the soil. Everyone knows roses love heavy feeding. You have heard that manure is the ultimate secret for huge blooms, so you buy a bag from the local farm and you mix it deep into the soil right around your prized roses. You think you are giving them a feast. You are actually burning them alive. Here is what is really going on under the ground. Fresh manure is completely packed with a chemical form of nitrogen and heavy salts. When it breaks down, it gets incredibly hot. We are talking about temperatures that can literally cook delicate plant tissue. When you mix fresh, unaged manure directly into your garden soil, those harsh salts pull moisture right out of the rose roots. Instead of drinking water, your plant gets dehydrated. The leaves will start curling up, turning crispy and brown on the edges and dropping off. You think it needs more water, but the roots are already scorched. The fix is very specific. Never put fresh, raw manure anywhere near your rose soil. If you want to use manure, it must be fully aged and composted first. You can tell it is ready when it looks and smells exactly like rich, dark, earthy soil with no strong odor left. Even then, do not dig it deeply into the root zone. Your roses have very shallow feeder roots that hate being chopped up by a shovel. Instead, just spread a 2-inch layer of the composted manure gently over the top of the soil. Let the earthworms and the rain slowly carry those rich nutrients down to the roots for you. This gives your roses a safe, slow feed without ever risking a dangerous, damaging root burn during the hot summer growing season this year. Number 2, dumping wet coffee grounds right on your soil. Everyone knows that roses love slightly acidic soil. You have heard this online all the time. So you save your morning coffee grounds and you dump them in a thick circle right around the base of your plant. You think you are giving it a free, healthy acid boost. You are not. You are actually building a waterproof wall. Here is what is really happening on top of your soil. These wet coffee grounds are very fine. When you put a thick layer of them on the ground, they dry out in the sun. As they dry, they lock tightly together and form a hard, solid crust. This crust acts exactly like a plastic tarp over your roots. When it rains, or when you turn on your hose, the water hits that hard crust and just slides right off. It never actually goes down into the soil. Below the surface, your rose roots are completely dry and starving for a drink, even right after a heavy rainstorm. Plus, uncomposted grounds can temporarily tie up the nitrogen in your soil, turning your green leaves yellow. Fix is very easy. Stop dumping wet coffee grounds directly on your garden beds. If you want to use coffee to help your roses, you must put it in a compost pile first. Mix the grounds with brown leaves and grass clippings. Let them break down completely until they become soft, crumbly earth. Then you can spread that finished compost over your soil. This feeds the plant and lets the water flow through easily. If you want to make your soil more acidic, use a proper soil test first. Do not just guess and accidentally trap your thirsty roots under a solid coffee crust all summer long. Number 3, digging or tilling wet soil. Here is the big one. This is the fatal mistake you must carefully avoid today. Everyone knows that loosening soil is good. You have heard that roots need soft ground to grow, so you grab your shovel and dig deep into the wet clay after summer rain. You think you are helping the plant breathe. You have not. You are actually causing a completely fatal disease. Here is what is really happening underground. When heavy clay gets wet, it swells up. If you dig or turn that wet soil, you smear all the soil particles flat together. This creates a hard, solid wall just under the roots. When you water the garden, that hard wall traps the moisture. It builds a hidden bathtub right under your rose. The water just sits there, pushing out all the healthy oxygen. Without air, the roots start to suffocate. In hot summer weather, this wet, airless mud is the perfect place for harmful fungus to grow. This fungus attacks the weak roots, turning them into a black, smelly mush. The rot moves straight up into the plant, blocking the water. The stems quickly turn black and the entire bush dies. The fix is very specific. You must switch to a no-dig or minimal-dig garden method. If you absolutely must dig, never go deeper than 6 inches. Always do a simple squeeze test by compressing a handful of soil in your palm. If it forms a sticky ball that stays intact when poked, it is too wet to touch. If it crumbles, it is safe. To enrich your soil without digging, apply compost and aged manure directly to the surface. Earthworms will break these materials down and carry nutrients deep, creating channels that improve aeration and drainage. If your rose is already dying from root rot, execute an emergency rescue immediately. Gently dig it up and wash the soil away. Use clean scissors to cut off any black, smelly roots. Then, replant your rose in a new pot with fresh, loose potting soil. This emergency rescue plan can easily save your beautiful plant from dying during this very hot summer season. Number 4. Mixing sand into clay soil. Everyone knows that thick clay holds too much water. You have heard that adding sand makes it drain better. So you dump bags of clay sand right into your garden beds to help your thirsty roses. You haven't. You have actually turned your garden soil into hard concrete. Here is what really happens underground. Clay is made of tiny, flat pieces. Sand is made of much larger, chunky pieces. When you mix a little bit of sand into heavy clay, those tiny clay pieces pack tightly into the empty spaces right between the big sand grains. When this mix gets wet and then dries out, it turns into a solid, heavy brick. This concrete block makes it completely impossible for delicate rose roots to grow. It traps water around the roots, causing deadly rot, and then bakes into a hard crust that blocks fresh water from getting in. The fix is very specific. Stop using sand. You must use organic materials to soften your clay. Mix in things like fully aged compost or small pine bark pieces. These natural materials work with the earth to group those tiny clay pieces into soft, loose crumbs. This natural process opens up big, healthy spaces for water to drain quickly and air to flow freely. If you are growing your roses in a pot, use light materials like chunky perlite instead. It stops the soil from crushing together and gives your thirsty roots the fresh oxygen they need to thrive. This simple switch will save your beautiful plants. You will easily keep your whole garden looking wonderfully green and perfectly healthy all summer long, without any hard work or extra money spent today. Number 5. Guessing with fertilizer. Here is the final point you need to master. Everyone knows roses need nutrients to grow large, beautiful flowers. You have heard that more fertilizer always means more blooms. So, when your roses look slightly yellow or seem to grow slowly in the hot summer, you quickly dump a handful of synthetic fertilizer around the base. You think you are giving them a helpful boost. You are not. You are actually causing them deep stress. Here is what is really happening in the ground. When your rose leaves turn pale but the veins stay green, your plant is begging for iron. Standard chemical fertilizers will not fix this. These chemical fertilizers are basically strong salts. If you dump them onto dry, hot summer soil, the salt level gets way too high. This salt actually sucks the water right out of the roots, burning the edges of your leaves until they turn crispy and brown. Also, these heavy fertilizers force the plant to grow too fast. This rushed growth is soft, watery, and weak. It acts like a magnet for tiny bugs like aphids and bad fungal diseases like powdery mildew. Finally, all that harsh salt kills the helpful bacteria and fungi in the soil that naturally feed your plant. The fix is very specific. Never add fertilizer by guessing. You must use an electronic pH meter, like a Sonkya meter, to check your soil's health before you add anything. Roses want their soil pH right between 6 and 6.5. If your soil pH is too high, it locks up the iron in the soil. You do not need more fertilizer. You just need to add elemental sulfur. This safely lowers the pH and unlocks the trapped iron so your plant can eat again. During the hottest summer months, that is May through August, stop using harsh chemicals entirely. Instead, use gentle compost tea or seaweed extract to feed the soil microbes naturally. For a safe potassium boost, sprinkle a little kelp meal on the soil. This keeps your roses strong, safe, and ready to bloom. Finally, protect those new leaves from pests by mixing neem oil with mild dish soap and water. Use a small amount of a mild, unscented soap. Strong dish soaps can burn leaves. Spray this shield on your plants once a week in the early evening. This simple routine keeps your roses completely safe. So there you have it, 5 soil mistakes that are far more common than they should be, and every single one of them is fixable. To recap quickly, never mix fresh, raw manure into your soil. Do not dump wet coffee grounds directly around your roses. Stop digging your soil when it is wet to avoid fatal rot. Never mix sand into heavy clay, and always test your pH before guessing with synthetic fertilizer. Fix those 5 things, and you'll be amazed at how healthy your roses become. If you found this helpful, go ahead and like the video. It genuinely helps this channel reach more gardeners who need this information. And if you're planning to grow beautiful roses this season, drop a comment below and tell me, what is the biggest challenge you are facing in your garden right now? Subscribe if you haven't already, because we've got more rose-specific deep dives coming that are exactly like this, practical, science-backed, and built around what actually works. See you in the next one.